What's up, guys, man? Another live today. We've had two lives in one day. I did the whole John Jones breakdown earlier today, and my man, Podcast Dave, joining me tonight. So, hey, guys, I want to thank you guys so much, man. You guys have been awesome with the chats. You guys have been awesome chiming in, man. You guys have been great this whole week. I know Angelo and I killed it on Sunday, and man, I did it again on Monday, and then now we're here on Tuesday. We did one earlier today, doing one today. Look at Brian Williams right there, savage. I know. Brian Williams, 1997. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you, man. I've been trying to come through in these good times right now. When there's news to report, or at least things to talk about, I try to jump on here as much as I possibly can. But I got my boy with me right now, Podcast Dave. So Podcast Dave, let me. Oh, whoops! No, I want to see that. Oh, I can't see your face. Let me see that face, buddy. There he is. I've been trying to tell Dave I need a little less space above his head because that's what my producer always tells me.
The same producer you're telling this to?
Yeah, the same producer I'm telling this to. He's always like, hey, give me a little less space above your head, or give me a little bit more space above your head. It's better for editing. Then he ends up like this. Look at this guy.
Yeah, my camera is not important.
It's not important. It's not. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What happened in Glasgow? What happened? Somebody burned some 1,000-year-old church down or something?
Yeah, it wasn't church. It was an old building. It's attached to like our main central station, train station, and the vape shop went up in flames. And I actually haven't read anything on it today. I read yesterday on it, and it was it went up. The vape shop went up in flames, and it burned down. My mom was texting me. She's like, "Yeah, it burned down a ton of independent businesses that were in that building, and it just caught fire off." You know what's funny? Not funny. You know what's interesting? There's a fish and chip shop right there attached to that building, and the same fish and chip shop went up in flames a few years ago, and they had to redo the whole thing, and now it's just been damaged again by this. I think it might be gone actually, but I don't know. I've just not kept up with the extent of the damage, but it's just like they just can't catch a break in that place.
Was it a good fish and chip shop?
It was kind of like your typical chain one that's like all around the city. Yeah,
it wasn't like
one of the mill.
Yeah, it wasn't like a mom and pop spot that just crushed it on the weekend, like during the weekends and nothing like that.
Nah, but there was like a bakery there, a coffee shop and stuff that I saw people were saying it was like it's devastating that they lost it. So
yeah. Well, how does the insurance work there? Like, do they reimburse them, build them back out, or is Glasgow like a third world country now?
Third world country, pretty much, yeah.
Podcast Dave moves from the area, right? And all of a sudden it's a third world country. You got a little taste of the American love over here, huh? Never going back. You're a citizen now, aren't you?
Yeah.
You didn't just marry an American, right? You just full on became a citizen?
Full on became a citizen. I passed my test 100% on the questionnaire. I passed my test on the spelling test. They said, right, I am American, and I wrote it perfectly. The hard one. This was really difficult, you know.
Yeah, it was either right, and right, or two, and two, or then and then. All these. Did you get them all right?
I passed my reading test as well. He said, read what's on the screen, and I read it. It said, I love America, and I feel very proud that I was able to read that.
All right, hey, we're going to be joined right now by Ben the Bane, right? He's going to join us right now. He's going to go ahead and jump in this, man. He's like my Twitter, I wouldn't say nemesis, but he's somebody on X that goes back and forth with me. We like to poke some fun at each other. But, man, he busted my balls over the Reuben Carter thing, so I got to bust his balls now. My man, Ben, thanks for joining me, brother. Look, there's a lot for us to talk about. Do me a favor. Can you push your hand in front of your camera and then bring it back so it can focus? Like, put your hand right in front of your camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it coming back? Nope. JT, you and I are both technologically probably
we're in some words retarded, right? Like yes. We're both retarded. My man Ben, hey brother, nice to finally meet you in person.
Yes, likewise, man. Hey, virtually through the screen, we'll get one in studio sometime soon. But yeah,
I hope so. Where are you located at?
Phoenix, Arizona. How about you, man?
Okay. Oh, I'm in Texas now, man. I was in California my whole life. And they just kind of they went a little bit too much sideways for me. So we had to man, it's
you had
hard,
to abandon the income tax, man. You had to head to where everything's bigger. I hear you.
Yeah, everything's bigger. There's no income tax. Like gas is right now, even with all the shit going on right now, gas is still just $2.40. You know, everyone's complaining.
$39 a gallon here in Phoenix. Believe that.
I believe it. California, I'll be there tomorrow, but somebody sent me a photo from the San Francisco area. It's $8.50.
Jeez, now that is crazy, and that's real, man. Come on. I thought we had so much oil, JT. I thought we just got so much oil.
No, we'll get it on track. We'll get it on track. Hopefully that's the plan. That's the plan. All right, hey, look, I brought you on, and we were like, I wanted to pick, 'cause you like to poke fun. You like to get after a little bit. Tell me your thoughts on this whole Dana White situation, talking about Jon Jones not being they were never really in negotiations, or Jon Jones was never going to be on the White House card. And Jon comes out publicly and says, what are you talking about? We spent time doing this. And ultimately it came down to, from what I gathered from talking to some people at the UFC, talking to some people, some other managers, and basically saying, like, it just came down to the money. It came down to, like, hey, it came down to the Tom Aspinall deal falling apart before. And the whole time Jon wanted to fight Alex. And they said, hey, you get past Tom, you can fight Alex. Well, Jon was going to be given that $30 million or somewhere around that mark, right, for the Tom Aspinall fight. That fight didn't come to fruition. And so they're like, okay, well, now we can't just streamline you now at the biggest fight card ever in history at the White House for you to fight the guy that you originally left and went off and retired against. Like, we were giving you what you wanted. So now we're going to lowball you and say, hey, we'll do it for this much. Jon obviously didn't like the number, but he got his opponent that he wanted. Like, where do you lie in all of this?
It's kind of like a triangle where you get two things, but not all three, right? And I feel what's really important to remember with this current chapter with Jon Jones in the UFC is that there was also a previous chapter with Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones being linked for a hypothetical fight that never happened. And what was the common denominator in that whole debacle? It was the money as well, right? Now, I don't know. It seems like it really is a he said, she said. If you believe what Jon says, that's a whole school of thought. If you believe what Dana says, it's a whole school of thought. And JT, as you and I both know, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But it is a little bit tough for me to side with one Johnny Bones, because this isn't the first time this whole charade has occurred. We've done this song and dance multiple times with multiple different opponents over the years. And I'm sorry, but you got the fairy tale ending, man. You dragged the 42-year-old full-time firefighter Stipe Miocic off the bench. You got that one, okay? Right? And then what happened? Nothing. That should have been it, right? I think that really probably should have been the final chapter, because, then we just lead to issues like this, where there's something in the negotiation that doesn't work for one party, or there's something in the negotiation that doesn't work for the other party. And I'm sorry, but I'm tired of it. I'm a little bit tired of it. Now, to the point about money, an organization that has just signed a $7.7 billion broadcasting deal, $1.1 billion a year, you divide that out per event, that's upwards of $25 million per event.
I'm glad you did the math, because I wasn't about to do the math. I'm glad
it's okay, JT. I know you can't. It's okay. No, that's why I'm here. But it's just, for me, when you have that valuation per event, there leads to little excuses as to, oh, well, money is the problem. Because it's not. You do have the money. You just don't want to spend it. And I think that when it comes to Jon Jones, Dana was trying to play the horse of, we can't trust him to be on a card of this magnitude. We just don't know. And honestly, I just wish they stuck with that reason and excuse. We can't trust the guy. He's in Thailand doing the reality TV show opposite Dana Cormier. He's going off, God knows where, doing whatever. Probably not training. You know what I mean? No. So what shape would he be in to kind of hold this monumental event on his shoulders? I wouldn't trust it either. I wish the UFC stuck with that excuse as opposed to, oh, it was money, because that's the one thing that they definitely have.
But you can't use the Jon Jones is not training excuse. I mean, he beat my teammate, literally on cocaine. And so, I can't really say that, that's an excuse. The guy's got the skills. He's one of the best to ever do it, if not the best. Dana White will tell you he's the best to ever do it.
When did he beat your teammate on coke, Josh? What year was that?
Oh, I couldn't tell. Whatever the first DC fight, right? Was the cocaine, I think, thing, right?
Ancient,
he tested positive.
Right? Ancient history, though.
Yeah, ancient history.
We're talking about a 39-year-old Jon Jones, who, granted, the Ciryl Gane victory in 2021 was pretty great. That was significant. That showed that even at his advanced age, he still has the gumption to take on the new wave. But now that's 5 years past. All he's taken on is Stipe Miocic. And he didn't even look that good against Stipe Miocic, JT. Come on.
He didn't look great, I can tell you that. But let's be honest, in the heavyweight division, all you need is a little bit of wrestling, and the guy's got a little bit of wrestling. That's all you need to have a successful career in the heavyweight division. Like, let's be honest, right? Like his toughest fight would have probably been like somebody like a Curtis Blades, who's tall, long, lanky, can wrestle, but still probably I think gets it done. But like Ciryl Gane, I mean, Tom Aspinall probably would have been his toughest match because he can grapple off of his back. He's got fast hands. Physically is probably about the same size, maybe a tiny bit bigger than John. But ultimately, like, doesn't have anywhere near the level of experience of Jon Jones. Jon Jones is just extremely talented and one of the highest fight IQs we've ever seen inside the cage. You can't, I know everyone's saying, yeah, but he's a fucking disaster outside. We're not talking about outside the cage. I'm talking about inside the cage, one of the highest fight IQs, one of the guys that has just that mindset of like, you can't beat me. Doesn't matter if I did blow 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I'm still going to go in there and beat you. And sure enough, he's been doing it his whole career. So that goes back to, I think what we're seeing right now is, and while I have you here, is all these fighters are going, hey man, Conor Benn got paid $15 million. And John is going like, hey, I want the Alex fight. I want it on the White House lawn. And you're telling me you can't pay me $15 million. Well, John, the reason why we're not going to pay you $15 million is because you ducked us on the Tom Aspinall fight. Now you're getting the fight that you really want. You got to choose which one. You want the Alex one for legacy and take less money on the White House lawn? Or do you want more money and we'll fight you another time against Alex, when Alex is done with this fight on the White House lawn? You just won't fight on the White House lawn for this amount of money because, as Conor said, which I 100% agree with, why would I put John and Conor on the White House card knowing that card's already going to draw? No matter who is on that card. That card will be probably the most watched UFC ever in history, ever. And so why would I go ahead and spend $20 million on Conor, another $15 million or $20 million on John and whoever else their opponents are?
Spacing it out, have one fight on the month, next month, and then the other fight 2 months later. Now, JT, that's a great perspective, and it's very business oriented. That's bottom line oriented. I can stretch this. I can distribute. I can maximize multiple events for kind of the price of one, in a sense. But
they're also not selling tickets to that event, so there's no gate money coming in. So that's another argument. Like Conor's like, hey, you're not
losing money.
Yeah, they are losing money. They will lose money on that card, on the White House card.
I think that it boils down to a conversation that's been ongoing for so long, which is the bottom line school of thought and the entertainment fan first school of thought. Come on. When you're building an event up for 8 months, you've got some people inside the UFC going on different shows saying there's going to be 7 title fights. It's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime card. And then, no disrespect, because I'm fine with both these guys, but you got Bo Nickel and Kyle Dawkins on it. To me, that doesn't scream once-in-a-lifetime. So you've built up this monster, and then what you've delivered is Casper the Friendly Ghost. You know what I mean? It just doesn't really align with the expectations. And I feel like the UFC's done this on a couple pay-per-views in recent memory where they will hype this thing up. They will market the machine to a crazy overdrive extent, but then the fights themselves just on paper won't really add up to it. So that's why a lot of fans will say, look, I get it might be not business savvy to put Jones on a card with Conor and all these other huge stars, but that's kind of the spectacle that you've created by virtue of your words.
Yes, I can agree with you on that portion of it, but I also think that venue does matter in some of these situations. The Sphere, it 100% mattered. The White House card 100% matters. I don't need to pay all these top level fighters millions of dollars, $2, $3, $4, $6, whatever, $8 million to be on this card, because this card will sell no matter what. People will tune in to watch because they want to see, where do the fighters walk out from? How does it look on the south lawn? Like what is it all going? What is the spectacle going to look like outside the gates of the White House? No different than like what's it going to look like inside the Sphere, not just the bubble on the outside. They sold us that the Sphere was going to be one of the greatest cards, all this other stuff. It was an okay card. It wasn't great. Let's be honest. But this is where I feel like they're shining into the entertainment business, which is location, right? Like when I watch, there's concerts. There's a place called the Gorge up in Washington. Like, it doesn't matter where the fuck who's playing there. It's such a beautiful venue. It overlooks the Gorge. Nothing but sunset behind it. And it doesn't matter who's playing music, fucking out there, rocking out, spending a weekend. It's amazing. You're there for the venue and the location. Very similar to what we're getting with the White House. Very similar to what we got with the Sphere. And I'll throw you a little tidbit from way back in the day. Like I said earlier, is fighters were, when I was fighting in Strikeforce, we had 2 shows at the Playboy Mansion. I fought on both of them. And fighters were saying, I will fight there for free. I will fight there for free if I get on that card. And obviously Coker's like, no, we can't do that. You got to get paid. But I'm not willing to pay you your contract money for that. But fighters were willing to go ahead and do that. See, location is important, and that ended up being one of the most watched Showtime or Strikeforce Showtime shows ever because it was at the Playboy Mansion. So I think the UFC has taken a turn like, hey, what do we do to bring more fans to sign up for Paramount Plus? What can we do? White House card, 100%. People are going to subscribe to the Paramount Plus platform because it's at the White House. Now, I guess for me, what are we doing, though, in terms of jealousy of the fighters now are feeling a little like they're being fooled. Like, we've been doing this for so long, and we've let you stick it to us, but now the numbers are out, 1.1 billion a year. When are we going to see this pay? Now, I'm on the side of the fighters 100%, but I'm also going to give you the promoter's standpoint. All of you guys have contracts. When your contract's up, we'll see what we're willing to give you at the end of your contract, but you have to win those fights. Right now, no one's going to jump in and go, hey, yeah, you got 3 fights left. I'm going to go ahead and give you more money because we signed this $1.1 billion deal. So I think there, as fighters' contracts start to come to a close, right? And they're in this renegotiating. Like Sean O'Malley's got 2 fights left. He'll have 1 fight left, I believe, after this fight at the White House. We'll see what the number is going to be for someone like a Sean O'Malley.
It's not going to be a number that Sean's probably happy with. That's the truth of it. It's probably not going to be a number that most of these big stars are happy with because.
But what is the number? Give me a number. Give me a number.
JT, I can't give you specific.
No.
I cannot give you. If I were going,
if you're Sean O'Malley and you're sitting with Tim Welsh, you guys are talking with your manager or whoever the hell it is. Like, you're sitting around just scheming right now, going, what is my number for Sean O'Malley? Because I can tell you right now, MVP's going to pay him $15 million.
Yeah.
MVP would be 100%, and Netflix would be 100% ready to pay him $15 million.
But what's interesting about that, though, is that's also a shot at the UFC and the vehicle, right? There's much more layered on top of that than just fighter compensation, JT. You know that. But if I'm the Red Hawk and I'm putting the pickleball paddle down and me and Sean are chatting and we go, okay, 2 fights left on the contract, former champion, still top of the division, still have a lot more juice than a lot of people on the roster. I would probably say you probably want to go flat, right? You don't want to do a show win at his tenure inside the UFC. I'd say probably flat 2.5 million per fight. That'd probably be something that maybe you could squeeze. If it was realistically what they should get, it's probably in the $10 million range, $10 to $20 million range.
Yeah. Okay, let me give look. I look at this. I'm going to put my promoter hat on right now, and I'm going to take it to a promoter point of view. Look, I'm not doing a flat fee because what happens if you just start circling and running, sticking and moving, and not really fighting anymore? What happens if we get the Felix Trinidad or the De La Hoya end of round type fight where he just runs around at the very end and just tries to outpoint people? I'm not looking for that.
Okay,
I've always taken the Scott Coker approach. Is I will pay you a heavy show money. Let's say I give you $1 million to show. That's worth your time. You show up, you get $1 million, but you get a finish. I'll give you another 1.5. Like the finish incentive to me is very important. Like, and that Coker was more like, hey, I'll give you a couple $100,000. Okay, and I'll give you another 80,000 or 100,000 if you get the finish. Like, so if you're looking at that, like, let's say we give Sean $2 million, but he gets another $1.5 million, or he gets another $1 million if he gets a finish. It's incentive driven.
I agree. And I think, as you know, it's very hard to finish guys at the top of this fucking sport, right? So that would have to be a pretty inflated figure. But I think 2 million show, 1.5 on top for a finish, and maybe another, maybe you could throw in some other metrics, right? A merchandise sale or some type of points on a back end in some way, or maybe just a little mailbox pay. I don't know. There's got to be.
But are you gonna do that with every fighter now? Sean, if Sean comes in and does it, you can do it with every fighter.
Oh, JT, come on! You asked about Sean. If we were talking about like a Contender Series guy that was rolling right off of CS.
No, that's like a rookie contract, bro. I got my 5th-year option on these kids, right? Like I'm coming out of Dana White Contender Series. I've got all that stuff, but. In this situation, Sean's still young, right? You got guys like Umar Nurmagomedov, still young. If Usman Nurmagomedov comes over, still young. You got guys that are young that I can see putting, like, hey, let's go big on the money with them because there's name recognition there. They've already built up their brand. We're good on this.
But why? But why would you? Because the casino's already been paid. It almost feels like there's no real incentive to inflate these guys' contracts or bring in the best at the moment because they've already got the money. So in order to cut the margins down as much as possible, it would probably be just flood these cards with 10 and 10, 12 and 12 guys. You know, I don't want to say ice your superstars, but if we are putting on that business hat, the easiest way to win financially is probably pay the superstars, you know, once a year, twice a year, and give a lot of these younger talent guys on shittier contracts many more opportunities.
Okay, see, I take the opposite approach. I take the opposite approach, and this is no dig at the ones that are coming off the Dana White Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter. I think we need to minimize how many cards we have and how many fights we have on per card. John Anik has said this before also. Let's get it down to 10, 11 fights. The 10 fight card night is a perfect night, right? You have 5 prelims, 5 main card fights, and you just run through them. You get the fans have an opportunity and a chance. If I got 14 fights, 15 fights, literally by the time I get to the main card, I'm like, Jesus, man. Like I worked in the industry where I'm sitting cage side calling fights. And by the time I got to the main card, I was too tired to call the fights.
There was a card, I called a 32 fight card in New York a couple of years ago. 32 fucking fights. It was like a 14-hour broadcast. It was one of the dumbest things I've been a part of. So I agree with that completely. If we could trim down a little bit, because if you remember way back in the day, it was every other month there was a UFC card.
Yeah,
it was really spaced out.
That was my era, fool. Don't be trying to age me, man. That was my era. we only had 7 to 9 pay-per-views a year. And I was in that era. That was my era.
And that's time to marinate, man. That's time for the real storylines to develop, building anticipation. I feel by virtue of having this $7.7 billion streaming contract, they have to deliver so much product. And that's almost going to be shooting themselves in the foot. But
I agree. I understand what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. But where does someone like a John Jones go from here? Like, hey, do you really like are you not going to really pay me now? Does he wait to see if there's someone there in the winter? UFC is obviously not going to let him go. Like Francis Ngannou has already come out and said, hey, we can make it happen in MVP. UFC is like, no, we're not doing this. I just said you were the GOAT, and now you go over there and let's just say potentially you get hit, you get clipped, and you get knocked out and you lose. Now all of a sudden my whole conversation piece around you is gone. It's just evaporated.
It's tricky because if the UFC is not willing to release him from the contract, right, and axe it, but they're also not willing to give him the necessary provisions or clauses that he needs to compete, then you really can't do anything. You're stuck in fucking purgatory, right? And so something has to give on one side, and I feel it's pretty comfortable to say that the UFC isn't going to give. Why would they? They don't. There's no leverage really that you can do except not fighting. But all that does is really hurt John, because then what are we going to do? We're going to speed forward 2 years. He's going to be 41. He'll have years of inactivity built up. It really just, it's a shit position for John. And kind of like Ngannou said it, I'll echo it. A guy that's done as much as John Jones inside the ring probably shouldn't be having this type of, gridlock with the UFC. And I get that John has been, again, the common denominator and kind of has frustrated some fight negotiations and maybe been the one that stalled those out. But it felt like a slam dunk that was right in front of him. Do John, do Alex at the White House. That'll add kind of the spark that you really want. And that didn't happen. So I don't know. I feel like, I usually say sometimes with a lot of these cards, hey, the fans win. I feel like the fans have just lost with this one.
See, for me, ultimately, I think this is a great fight between Ilia and Justin. I know a lot of people are heavy on Justin winning the fight, or I'm sorry, on Ilia winning the fight. And then you got Alex and Gane. I got to be honest. We got the better heavyweight fight on this card. Alex and Gane is a better fight than Alex and John. Now, it doesn't have the name. It doesn't have John Jones attached and fighting Alex, who is trying to go for a 3-division championship. I get all that. But the better fight is going to be 2 stand-up guys. Neither one is going to try to shoot. Each guy's going to try and knock each other out. Whereas I think John would have came right across the cage and shot a double leg. He would have snatched a single. He would have taken Alex down. And I think the fight would have been over in 1 or 2 rounds. Yeah. That's what we would have got.
I kind of want to agree with you. I do want to agree with you because I agree. It's going to be a striker matchup. I feel that Ciryl Gane has put on a couple stinkers in the last couple years, JT.
Couple eye pokes.
Very patient performances. The Volkov, duo of fights just doesn't really strike me as memorable necessarily. And for John, who choked Ciryl out easily a couple years ago, it's hard for me to say that the better fight would be Alex and Ciryl. I almost do think that the better fight would be Alex and John because, I feel Alex Pereira's grappling is a little underrated. I'm not saying that he would be able to defend the takedowns and reverse positions on Jon Jones, but I feel he'd do better than Ciryl Gane did in 2021.
You know, I have another show called Bad Takes. I can bring you on that show anytime you want. You're going to continue to have takes like this. Look, John is phenomenal. Like, think about this. His ability to take like guys like DC down. You watch him, just watching him wrestle just recently with Gable Steveson and them going back and forth, and Gable at moments like, oh shit, he's on my hip. Oh shit, he's like, he got his arms wrapped around my waist. Those were moments of like going, I didn't realize he could wrestle like this. And to think that he wouldn't be able to do that to Alex Pereira, who's 38, 39 years old now, as stiff as a board when he fights, but just very good at finding his range, keeping his distance. He seems like he's very physically strong and very difficult to get in on. But John is just another level of fight IQ. You know, I feel like we're getting the better, obviously what fans want these days is stand up, knockdown, drag out fights. And that's what we're going to get. We're going to get Alex and Gane standing up, toe to toe. Now the guy's going to really try to wrestle, and someone's going to get knocked out.
I don't see. I want to agree, but I just can remember the Gane and Volkov fights where Ciryl Gane looked at him for 15 minutes. The fight went by and nothing happened. And I feel that Ciryl Gane is going to respect all of that, the distance management, the power from Alex Pereira, and he isn't going to want to engage. He'll probably want to point fight. And guess what we're going to see, JT?
Oh yes. You know what's crazy is I had a meeting with. I had a phone call with a couple commissioners, right? Some guys that work for the California State Athletic Commission and New York's commission, and they said that there's a handful of fighters that are ones that commit like 95% of the fouls in the sport, and they know who they are, and they tell the refs these are the fighters that stick their fingers out. These are the fighters that grab the fence. These are the fighters that try to do illegal moves. You know what I mean? Like it's when Michel Pereira used to do that backflip, that's stomping. When he lands on his feet, that's considered stomping. They never stopped it, but they always had to tell those refs, like, hey, if he does that, it is stomping.
You gotta,
but there's a handful of fighters. You know, there's only like 5 to 10 fighters that commit all the fouls in our sport, which is crazy when I heard that stat.
Does that make you think that the conversation about changing the glove design is overblown then? If it's such a small amount that are the most frequent aggressors and breakers of the rules, then the whole thought towards, man, we got to reinvent the glove. Do you go, we don't need to necessarily reinvent the glove. We just got to really punish these 5 morons who keep breaking the rules consistently?
I think there is a little bit of behind the glove bend thing. I think, Pride does it very well. Ryzen basically adopted the same Pride glove. Bellator, when it first came out, had the Everlast gloves that were really bent. And there was a lot less live pokes there. Look, I know why they do it. They do it to save the fighter's hands. That big pad keeps the hand from getting broken, at least a little less. And then on top of it, it leads to more knockouts. So I understand why they're doing it. It just sucks because the constant blame is like, oh, there needs to be more penalties. Well, you can help by changing the glove. So did you see the press conference today between Gina and Ronda?
I was not able to watch it, unfortunately, but what a spectacle, right?
Yes.
You bring back Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, you had Ngannou up there on stage. Felipe Lin's also present. It does feel like there's something in the waters with MVP right now, and especially their MMA division. This is obviously a one-off huge event, but it does seem like you feel like there's going to be some real legs on their mixed martial arts division.
I feel like they can go full steam ahead if they want, as long as they keep their relationship with Netflix well. And the only way they do that is by producing big numbers, which I think Gina and Ronda will. I think that show will produce big numbers. And Francis, and I know that Lynn's is not a big name, but look, this whole thing got slapped together at the last minute when he got this release. They knew they was gonna get released. They started putting guys together. Even he came out and said that it was supposed to be Rico Verhoeven, who I've trained with Rico. I know Rico, and he's trained at AKA for years. He trained there for several fight camps for Kane and DC. That being said, that would have been a much more intriguing fight to me. But let's go ahead and get our whistle wet a little bit. Let Francis get into MVP. Let's see how this all develops. Sean O'Malley becoming available would not surprise me, and MVP going ahead and working an angle there, because on top of that, you've got this Dean the Great guy who I've met a couple times, but I'm simply put, you got 2 social media guys who will go in there, fight MMA or fight boxing. They can make a spectacle out of it. They can build it up.
You want to do Dean the Great and Sean O'Malley?
But no, what I'm saying is you could do it. Would you not do it, or would you not do it? Would you not do it?
Would I execute a guy outside of a Home Depot? Right? That's the same question here.
But
I don't
what
think
happens if it's just boxing? If it's just boxing.
If it's just boxing, then that would be interesting. I do
go.
think that Sean would still beat him. And, shout out Dean. I've worked with him on Misfits plenty of times. But it's a different level, But if it's just boxing, I think they do it. Now, obviously, I would want Misfits boxing to house some of the more unique and peculiar fights on tap in the combat sports world. But I think the fact that there is a free agency that's kind of being created, and there's opportunities and there's competition. The big issue with me and the PFL for a while is just, it didn't feel like they could truly be a competitor. It felt like they were, taking one step forwards, one step backwards, tripping over their own shoelaces.
100%.
And that sucks to see, because I always wanted them to succeed so that there could be this marketplace for fighters ultimately to have opportunities. And if MVP can swoop in there and fill that void, or maybe Eddie Hearn can sign everybody to his talent agency, and then there's some, interesting angle there, then, as long as the fighters win, then I think I'll be happy.
Yeah, I don't think anything else gets done with Eddie Hearn jumping in there. Look, Dana White has dealt with all the best managements in MMA, and look, Eddie Hearn's not going to bring anything to the table that their contracts don't already obligate the fighters to stick to. So outside of him just getting through his next couple of fights, Tom Aspinall, and then getting into potentially like fighting out his contract, I could see that happening, and then him going ahead and exploring the MVP option, against maybe Francis or against John or whoever else is available at the time. But I don't see Eddie Hearn having really any big time effect, to be honest.
Even if he signs up 1,000 MMA fighters, Jake, even if he organizes an army.
No, I mean, because if he does, eventually, even if he does organize an army, eventually a lot of them will probably cut and leave, because they'll see the writing on the wall. Like, hey, you're seeing it now. No, look, I love Justin Gaethje, but he's complained about money. Like, hey, man, I'm not the best with my money, but also too, I've got 14 finishing bonuses or fight bonuses, and I still haven't made $1 million. Yeah, that automatically should be a raise a red flag. Every fighter on the roster should be like, none of my fights have ever been that fucking exciting. That means I'm never getting bonuses, and when I do get bonuses, it doesn't matter how hard I fight, they're never going to equal up to $1 million.
No, and they're going to get taxed, they're going to get taxed, and you're going to lose half of it.
And then you got to pay your management. Majority of them still pay their management for bonuses, but I think is fucking stupid. But yeah, like it just.
I thought what was concerning about that, on a micro note on Justin Gaethje, when he was talking about how, this is a big opportunity. I think this was his last fight, right? And he said, I didn't see a single pay increase at all. There was no new contract. And then of course his manager comes out and says, there was one. And it was weird seeing the miscommunication on full display. It felt like there was a couple different pages that everybody was on, and it was a shame that it played out in the public sphere like that. Those kinds of negotiations where you go, okay, managers saying one thing, the fighters saying a completely other one. And like we were talking about earlier, everything's probably somewhere in the middle. And I feel like I shouldn't be seeing this, this play out in front of me. This should be behind a closed door.
No, I agree, man. I agree. Look, I think that Dana and them have got to get their things sorted out on their financial side. Like I said, I think some of these fighters will start making money once their contracts start to expire. We'll see what the jump is. I think fighters will start to be like, hey, I did get a significant bump in my pay. I think at the top level, I don't know what it'll be like in that middle tier and below, and maybe it'll go from 12-12 or 15-15 to now 20-20. They've got 700 fighters on the roster. Last I heard, it was like 755. 760, somewhere in that range of fighters on the roster. To feed all those mouths is not cheap, and I know they're very profitable.
I love that they added the finish bonus this year. I love that they said, hey, you get a finish that's $25,000 that will tack on to whatever your pay is. That type of incentive, I do think, is something that's been sorely missed, because it does reward. They only give out, 3 performance bonuses for a night, maybe even 0 at times, despite great efforts from fighters. So the fact that there could be just this flat, okay, I locked up a second round sub, get 25 more in the bank.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. The fighter who wins the $100,000 can't have a finishing bonus. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, it's cheap as fuck. That right there.
That's dumb.
What do you mean I can't get? If I get the performance of the night, I can't get the $25,000 either. What does that mean? Like, you're telling me you're gonna take $25,000 out of me because I actually performed really well? I did better than everybody else. Like it just doesn't. It did that. That let me know. Like that was letting me know. Damn, you guys are. When people used to make fun of UFC cheap, like it was the ultimate fighting cheap is what they used to call it. You know, like in my era, it was like the fighters were running around going, "Yeah, I fight for the ultimate fighting cheap." You know, we used to make fun of it. We're getting paid. We weren't getting paid in shit. These guys now are making good money, but obviously with time and inflation and everything else is going on. But also too, I feel like they're also called upon to do more things, especially at the top level. They're traveling around a lot more. They're being put on media, more interviews, more media stuff, more requirements. They didn't have the money back when I was fighting. Right? They were still taking us around in carriages and shit, fucking getting us from one. We didn't have radio interviews. There was no radio waves. They were like literally like it was all in person, you know, at a fair or a parade or whatever it was. So I don't know. I have high expectations that they'll start doing the fighters right. In my mind, that's the way I would like it to be. But you know, the Gina and the Ronda, especially Ronda's attacking comments, they're not, and that's what surprised me today. They're not geared towards Dana. Mm-hmm. They are geared towards the fact that they were on a streaming platform, and the streaming platform is them and TKO are not letting Dana run the show and pay the fighters what they want. They're like, no, we're trying to maximize our profits for our shareholders, which by the way, I'm one of them. So I mean, you know, I'll be getting a little residual from them as well this year, but because they are so profitable. Yeah. So, but it's not the attack on Dana. It's the attack on TKO. It's attack on the fact that they're only looking out for their shareholders. I mean, how do you see that? Obviously, Ron has got a connection with Dana, and the fighters have lost that connection with Dana.
It really depends on just what side of the street you're on, you know, because to the point of TKO and being a shareholder of them, you're probably got to be happy with what you're seeing. What they're doing with the UFC, what they're doing with WWE, it's making money. It's generating a stupid amount of income that is ultimately going to trickle to everybody that is involved, whether it's just a shareholder or some deeper capacity. But if you're someone that's maybe just a fan of the entities and the entertainment aspect of it, you'd probably listen to what Ron is saying and deeply agree. And I think it's totally valid to see the validity of both sides of it. You know, I think that again, it's important to contextualize that Ronda and MVP, they have a great incentive to just attack that greater machine and throw those stones because they're a competitor. Clearly, they're trying to launch their own thing. So why not try and, you know, break the glass house that's across the street? Makes sense. But I think ultimately it's one of those things where I'm not shocked at either side of it. And, you know, it's just going to be what it is.
Ben, let me get you out here on this. I know you got to go. Josh Emmett, Kevin Vallejos, give me your pick and why and how they do it.
I like Josh Emmett a ton because that kid's got power, so much power. But the problem is he's always been a bit one-dimensional, you know? And again, a kid in Kevin, you know, this guy, this is the next level at 145. He's coming up. What he did to Giga Chikadze was so unbelievable. A striker of Giga's acumen to be TKO'd in the fashion that Vallejos got him out of there in is just remarkable. So an aging Emmett, who, again, is quite one note in his arsenal, coming up against this hungry fucking kid who, if you look at that guy's Twitter, all Kevin Vallejos is about is pumping himself up to the next level, you know? And I'm curious to see how it manifests. I'm going to take Kevin by finish. I think he gets Josh out of there over the course of 25 minutes, which is, I know not a lot of people could do it, but it's been done. I think it'll happen again.
Yeah, I think Kevin will, or not Kevin, but Josh will start to slow down in rounds 4 and 5, be in the main event. And that's when Kevin's sort of pick it up. Being young, what is he, 25 years old? He's got one loss. What was his one loss to John Silva?
And that was a decision, right? He took a very game John to the scorecards. And you know, to your point, I mean, when I see the people that are younger than me, you know, just killing it on crazy trajectories, I'm like, fuck, I gotta do more. I gotta stop wasting time.
I agree with you, man. I agree. There's times I look around, I'm like, damn. When I walk past the mirror now after getting out of the shower, I look at myself, I'm like, fuck, you used to be an athlete. What happened to you? You piece of shit. I swear, I started looking at myself. I started second guessing my life choices. Like, what did I do? What happened to me? So, anything else, man? You want to push something? You want to prep something? You want to let everyone know? What do you do? Talk to me.
Just working sports broadcast, man. Hey, March 22nd, March 29th, APFC doubleheader to close out the month. Anthony Pettis is fighting championship. We are steamrolling, kicking off this year. We're in, I believe, New Mexico 22nd, back in Milwaukee on the 29th. Should be a fun one. JT, we got to get you out of there for one of those.
Let me know, man.
Have you though?
Yeah, tell Pettis to give me a call, man. Tell Anthony to give me a call. I'd love to come out. So it'd be great.
Fuck yeah, man.
All right, man. Take it easy, man. Talk soon, man. All right, guys. Hey, man. What's up, buddy? What'd you think? He's
Think
fun.
of what? Yeah, Ben's good, man.
Yeah. Have you seen him before?
He's on like a show or something, isn't he?
I don't know.
Oh, he's
That's
on
the
a
first
show.
time. I just know he's on X and he's always busting my balls because I did the Ruben Carter retweet or repost or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, about Tom Aspinall potentially being released, and he's like, "Oh, Mar, you can't follow that. You can't." I was like, "I'm not following him," but it said CBS in his platform or in his thing, and I was like, "Oh, maybe he works for CBS because they're hiring new people." No. It's a gimmick. This is a gimmick. All right, guys. Wait, man. You know what? Look, you guys are in the comment section. Why don't you guys go ahead and hit me up with some comments or some questions, and I'll try to get to them as fast as I can. I'm not going to break down this whole card. Let's be honest. Last week's card, 326, was a good card. Wasn't a great card, but it was a good card. But Josh Emmett, Amanda Lemos, and Jillian Robertson, and then you've got other fights on there, Kutalaba, and you got other fights. But bottom line is the card, always the card after a number event. We've said this for I don't know how long Big John and I did. They're shitty. This is what we're getting. And if you look through these cards, I like the main event. I like the co-main. I know people are probably not going to fall in love with it, but I like it. I like the co-main, and obviously Kudalaba's fun. Andre Feely's always fun. You've got some fights that are in here, man, that make for some fun fights. But overall, wait, I see Charles Johnson. Oh, Charles Johnson back in the cage again already. This guy fights so much, so active. Dave, what do you got on some news? Let's do some news talk. I mean, we'll just brush over the fight card here in a little bit. But what do you got on news?
Do you want to go through some of the Ronda stuff?
Yeah, let's go through the Ronda stuff while we were just talking about it a little bit with Ben. So let's go ahead and go through it now.
Let me just get it going. Which one is it?
And we're gonna talk the White House card a little bit too. I'm gonna talk the betting odds on that as well. We'll go from there. So, guys, drop some comments down below in the chat, and podcast Dave and I will try to get to them. Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see. Is it on there? Let's see. Add. Sorry, I'm still.
No worries. No worries.
All right. Let me play this for you.
Have such love and respect for Dana that I wanted to bring this to him first. And I said, I know I can do this on my own, but I would rather fight for you than to fight for me. Just make it make sense for me. And originally we were going to do it New Year's. It was going to be under the last fight under the pay-per-view model, and he offered me the best pay-per-view structure ever, and I was so grateful. But then, Gina said she needed more time to get into the best shape possible, and that she wanted me to fight the best version of herself. And I think that was fate. It was meant to be. It was meant to push us onto the other side. And once they moved into the streaming model, it's just not about putting on the best fights possible anymore. Dana is legally beholden to the shareholders and to maximize shareholder value. And unfortunately, now that they've taken the reins from the company away from him, it's barely recognizable now. And they need to be safe for themselves. And luckily, I'm here to be their hero. No, not at all. He was the one that, when they weren't able to offer me, a respectable deal under the streaming model, he was the one that was like, I want you to make as much money as possible. Don't stay here and take less from me. He gave me his blessing to go out and do it on my own. And if anyone's been his apprentice, on how to be a promoter, it's been me. And after I let him know before anybody else that I had gone to Netflix, and I wanted to, I didn't want him to be upset with me. And he was like, I could never be upset with you. I love you so much. I want you to do great. I want this to be successful. He's always been my friend first before anything else. And I think that most of my criticisms of the UFC now is because Dana isn't the owner, and he isn't calling the shots, and he isn't running things the way that he wants, because he's an employee of the company now. He's not an owner, and I think it was a big mistake of theirs to not let him just run things the way that he always has.
Do you think he was upset when he saw your comments yesterday on social media? You mentioned that he wasn't upset with you for taking this fight.
Oh, he knows the White House card sucks. Like,
Yeah.
he knows that they were pushing this for over a year, and it fell extremely short of expectations. I mean, he was so upset about it. He was talking about a fight falling out the day before. You know, it's I can guarantee you he's not happy with it either. And he's the one that taught me through example to speak my mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, she seems like she has a great relationship with Dana, you know, from the past. And so they, you know, the fact that she took it to him, try to present it to him, try to get it on the platform, everything she's saying is true, though. Outside of the fact she's like, well, you know, they don't want to put on the best fights anymore. Well, if they were putting on the best fights, they wouldn't be putting you and Gina on there. There's no dig at you guys. You guys are definitely pioneers in the sport. I would love to see you guys in the UFC. That's not the point. The point is that to have the best fighters in there is what you were saying. And the fact is you guys are older. You guys haven't fought in the cage in years. And so it wouldn't be the best fight. For me, it would be one of the best fights because there's nostalgia there. You guys fought under some of my undercards. I fought on some of your guys' main events, you know, in Strikeforce. And so there's a lot of history there. There's nostalgia there for me, but ultimately, like, that would have been a big fight. I would have loved to have seen them in the UFC. But Dana is an employee, like she said. No longer has the authority to be like, yeah, let's go ahead and just pay these guys all the money. You take a company public and you are beholden to your shareholders. They dictate and own, you know, when you're doing things well. You know, like you have to pay them out. And so it's all about what the profit lines are. So paying Jon Jones $15 million to fight on the White House card that's already costing us $30 million or $60 million. You know, it's been speculated to be 60 and then $30 million will actually cover. So it's only gonna cost them fully $30 million. That's a big hit for a once in a lifetime card. Your shareholders are like, all right, look, let's see what we can do to build on this. Who knows? But there's no gate coming in. So they're like, it's a gimmick type fight. It's huge though. It'll never be done again. It'll be huge. I think she's right though. Dana is not in the control that a lot of people believe he is. Still, they're still thinking of the Dana from, you know, the Fox era, the Spike TV era, the Lorenzo Fertitta and Frank Fertitta era. They're still believing that it's that, and it's not that. Dana getting in front of Congress just recently going like, I don't do the matchmaking. I don't matchmake at all. Like, I just show up in the war room and these guys match it, and then they show it to me, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's a great fight. All right, cool, that's, you know, which I think is some of the problem. I mean, they need a bat signal, man. Like, realistically, they need a bat signal to somebody like a Joe Silva. And that's not a dig at Hunter. That's not a dig at Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby. You know, but I feel like the best fights we ever had were under Joe Silva, Dana White, Sean Shelby, those three guys. You know, we've had some great fights, big time names, you know, at the top of the card, you know. But ultimately, like, we need to build younger stars. This Kevin Vallejos kid, he's got it. This is a big fight for him. He's got the potential to really pack in some big time fans, to build his brand, to be something. There's a couple fighters that are younger on the roster that I'm like, damn, we got something. But will it be enough? Will they be the fighters, or will they be the brand makers? Sean O'Malley is a very talented fighter. He's built a great brand. You know, he's become the UFC champion. You know, he lost the UFC championship belt, and he's come up short, you know, on trying to get it back. But can we see these guys get back to it? Like, the UFC is struggling right now to build stars. Is it because Dana White is involved anymore? Is it because Dana White is not feeling the vibe? He doesn't feel like he has control. No one knows. This Gina and Ronda fight should have been done in the UFC. And I had this argument. I said this as soon as the fight was announced, and I knew this fight was being put together last summer. It was talked about already. Like, people were already buzzing about it. People were already talking about it last summer. And I was like, Gina doesn't have a great relationship with Dana. I don't think that's going to happen. Ronda maybe can get it done. Who knows? But what happened? What happened in that process from last summer to now? The females MMA divisions have fallen off. I mean, there's nothing around it that people are clamoring to see. The biggest star in all of the UFC female fighters, I would arguably say it's Rose Namajunas. You put Rose's face on a t-shirt, she is more recognizable than probably Amanda Nunes, for sure Valentina Shevchenko, for Alexa Grasso. Like, she's more recognizable than them. So I mean, like, Kayla is right up there because she's a two-time Olympic gold medalist. But I think that Thug Rose just carries. The name carries, but we haven't had that type of. We haven't had that since Ronda, since Misha, since Holly Holm, since we haven't had a group of female fighters that fought each other and beat each other. Not Amanda, but Ronda had beaten Misha, I think two times. And then Holly Holm beats Ronda. Misha beats Holly Holm. Amanda Nunes beats all of them. And Chris Cyborg. Then Amanda leaves. She loses to Juliana Pena. Then after she wins it back, she leaves. And now she's on her way back to fight Kayla. But if I had to put any of like that whole group of females, I think I would say Rose is probably the biggest star amongst all the female fighters. You could say Wei Li because there's so many people in China. She's a huge star in China, obviously. But if she was to walk down the street side by side with Rose Namajunas, I think Rose would be more recognizable. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it, what the UFC is lacking right now. So they're lacking a lot of it. They've got to figure it out. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the lack of interest from Dana. I don't know if he's got too many pins in the fire kind of thing. He's got Zuffa boxing. He's got slap fighting. He's got the UFC. He's all over the place. Who knows? None of us know what the reasons are. So, Dave, was there another video that we had?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Let me just. I'm just gonna pull it for you now. Show that again. Let's see. We'll go to spinning back first. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
John Jones had some financial issues with the UFC. What are your thoughts on that situation?
I mean, it used to be that UFC was the best place that you could come in combat sports to make a living and be paid fairly, and now it's no longer. It's one of the worst places to go. It's why so many of their top athletes are leaving to go and find pay elsewhere. It's why their champions like Valentina are selling pictures of their titties on OnlyFans. Like these people are, a lot of them at the ground level, they can't support their families. They're living poverty level, fighting full time. And this company just got $7.7 billion. Like, there's no reason that they can't afford to pay their athletes at least a living wage, and not even that, to at least be able to match what these athletes are making in other sports. Why are you going? Why would they expect to get the best athletes and the best aspiring kids that want to be something into MMA? Why not go into football? Why not go into boxing? Why not go into anything else? And so they're bleeding talents because of their short-term greed. They're thinking about the next quarter. They're thinking about the shareholders. They're not thinking about their responsibility to be, stewards of the future of the sport.
Mm-hmm. All right, so she's right on so many levels that, and this is going on right now in the UFC. They're starving for American talent. They have no young American talents coming up. Nothing. Don't even talk about like the heavier weight, the heavyweights, the 205ers, and the 185ers. There's no American talent really. You've got one or two fighters in every weight class that are in the top 15, if that. When I look at the rankings, you don't have a lot of American fighters in the top 10. It just doesn't happen. Let me just show you the pound for pound right now. Islam is at number 1, Ilia Topuria number 2, Khamzat Chimaev number 3, Volkanovski number 4, Alex Pereira number 5, Piotr Yan, Merab. Merab is now an American citizen. Tom Aspinall, UK. Pantoja, Max Holloway is the first like American in Merab. Those two are the first 2 Americans. Joshua Van, American. DDP, Ankalaev, Jack Della Maddalena, and Armand Sarukian. You have 2 in the pound for pound. If I was to go to 125, you've got Joshua Van at the champ. And you got Pantoja, Cape, you have Manel Kopp, Tyra, Royval, Horiguchi, Kavanaugh. Like you've got fighters there. Like there's not a lot. It's hard to build, and this is not a dig at any fighters that are not from the US. But we are the biggest consumer of this thing. Americans consume product left and right. And they want to attach themselves to somebody inside that cage that is recognizable, that that speaks English. Khabib was very adamant about, hey guys, if you can't speak English, you need to learn how to speak English. If you can't, you need to work on it and do less interviews until you actually can. And as you get better at speaking English, your numbers will go up. And sure enough, Umar, Usman, Islam, all of them speak English pretty damn well. And they all cash out because of it. So the UFC is making these adjustments. Look for them. They'll stop. They're not signing as many Russian fighters, Brazilian fighters, they've never really signed a ton of Japanese fighters because Ryzen or Dream or Pride always had, access to them first. But that's just the way it is. They are looking now. They will stop signing a lot more of the foreign fighters that are that are in the UFC, that are flocking into the UFC and taking over and dominating, but don't have a desire to learn English. They are going to stop signing those fighters. They're going to start making a bigger platform for American-based fighters or Canadians or Australians, fighters that speak English. They're having a problem right now getting fans to really want to tune in and watch. Like, I had this conversation with Angelo, and he's like, oh, no, I would say it's the other way around. Like, the viewership is an all-time high. It isn't an all-time high right now. Where will it be in another year or two? Will it be more or will it be less? I think it depends on what the adjustment is between here and the next year, obviously, on what they do and who they sign and how they push these fighters. But right now, them leaving ESPN, I think was the best thing they could have done because it didn't expose what the numbers were. There's no more pay-per-view model. You don't have to worry about it. Like just a streaming service. There's, what there's 78 million, I think, is what Paramount Plus has. I think they just bought HBO Max. HBO Max had like another 200, I think, million or something, 187 million or something like that. Or was it 280 million? I think it equated it to being like 300 million total. So they'll now have available to them will be 300 million people to watch. I think HBO Max will eventually just fold into Paramount Plus. All the subscribers, all the viewers, they'll just roll it all in. They'll all be on one platform. Kevin from Chicago, 7635. I've done 2 live shows over an hour each one. The one earlier today and one again today. And kids sports, allergies also too kicking up here in Texas. So let's talk this real quick. I want to say this to Frato. Talk about Islam Duck and Ilia. Did you read what he said there, Frato one?
Do you want me to throw up for you?
Yeah, please do. I love when guys come at me hard like this, right? They got no backing whatsoever. I love it. Go ahead, throw it up there. Can you throw it up there?
Which one was Ilia? Oh yeah, I was just making sure I had Ilia's first. Ilia's one is which one's Ilia's? That one's Ilia's. There you go.
Let's go ahead and read it. You gotta push.
Yeah.
Up there.
Want me to lose a man?
Huh?
Can you see it?
No, I can't see it.
Oh, sugar. There we go. Oh.
There you go. I can't read it because it's too small, but it says one.
I can if you want.
Okay, yeah. Can you read it? Can you read it
Yep.
in English though?
Yeah, I'll try my best. Ilia says in English, once again, Islam comes up with an excuse. This time it's an injury. I always knew I would be part of the White House event. Even when the UFC told me at one point they wouldn't count on me for the event, I knew it was part of the negotiation. When they finally told me I would be on the White House card, they mentioned Islam, and I didn't hesitate for a second to accept the fight. Even though the fight hadn't been officially confirmed yet, the White House card was going to be announced the next day. And when I woke up, I found out that Islam had gotten injured, and then Justin Gaethje appeared. Once again, someone else who will pay for Islam's escape. Both of their manager is a bitch and also ugly as hell. Justin, see you at the White House. I'm not someone who humiliates people. It will be quick. When you wake up, everything will be over.
Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you how contract negotiations go, and he's just said exactly how some of it goes. Is that they came to him, they said, hey, would you be interested in this fight? He said yes. His manager, which his manager is Mauki came out and said, yeah, we sent him the number. Then we didn't hear from him. Well, you sent him the number and you didn't hear from him. Why do you think that happened? Because the number was too high. Can you pull up the Islam one now?
Yeah.
Read that one. And exactly like I just said, this is what happens is that Ilia probably, threw a number out there. His management did. And this is what happened. Go ahead, read it.
Yep. Islam says, we both know who chickened out here. You can cover your cowardice with nasty tweets, but don't worry. One day you will get what you asked for, and your fat ass manager don't have to ask for billions to fight me. We'll do it for free.
There you go. You outpriced yourself. You can say you took the fight. Frato won. You can say he took the fight. Yeah, I just saw the Frato one. I just saw that his manager, Mauki, was on there. And he even said himself, yeah, we shot him the number, and then they went radio silent. I didn't think we were going to get it. What happened was the UFC went back to the drawing board like, yeah, we're not doing that fight on the White House card for that amount of money, knowing that we're already losing $30 million. If they're going to pay that kind of money that they asked for, they would have went with Conor McGregor. And if you were listening to earlier on the show, the reason why they don't put on Conor McGregor, they don't put on John Jones, is because they cost too much money and everyone's going to watch the White House card no matter what. Doesn't matter what they pay these guys. Ilia Topuria is making good money. Justin Gaethje is going to make good money, but they're not making Conor money. They're not making the money that John Jones was requesting. So that's why they went the other way. They went with Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria. So the Ilia Topuria, like, I'm a huge fan. I like watching him fight. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to sell this fight with Islam, because if he does get past Justin, I think, and Islam gets past whoever he fights next, whether it's Michael Morales, whether it's Ian Gary, whoever he gets past next, it'll probably be, if both of them get past their next opponent, they'll probably do the Ilia Topuria fight. And Islam's one of those guys, no different than all the other guys that come out of Khabib's camp. Don't talk about it, man. It's on site. We'll see you around. It's on site. Like, it will have, it could happen that way. Some people are built different, man. You grow up fighting the streets, you don't really give a shit if you're getting paid to fight. It's not a smart way of thinking. Scott Coker used to tell me, hey, man, because he'd hear that I got in a fight at a nightclub. Hey, if you want to fight for free, you come back to me. We can renegotiate your contract. Dave's laughing at that. Yeah, he would call me on like Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. Hey, man, if you want to fight for free, man, let me know. I can renegotiate your deal. That was like a way to tell me, like, dude, stop. You're going to get in trouble, and then I'm going to lose my fighter, and you're not going to get paid, and you dumbass, stop doing what you're doing. Coker, in San Jose, right, Coker's a really big deal. There's only a handful of guys. Like, I mean, like in San Jose, for me, I was born and raised there, moved away for high school, came back after that. Like, but everyone, like I can go, San Jose is like, I can go anywhere. But Coker was linked in everywhere. Restaurant owners, business owners. I mean, like, it didn't matter. Mall, the people who owned the mall, like, it didn't matter. People who owned the Sharks, like, it was everywhere. He knew everybody. So when one of the fighters was acting up or doing something stupid at a bar, restaurant, or anything at the Sharks game, he found out about it literally like that next night or that night, and then he'd reach out to you the next night. This is on site though. Like, Ilia's either want the fight or you don't. Don't talk about you want it and then just go ahead and price yourself out of it, which it seems like they did. It wasn't good enough just to fight on the White House card and be like, hey, man, I fought on the White House card. Well, I'm glad that Ilia, it wasn't that as important to Ilia as it was made out to be. Look, fighting at the White House, I fought the Playboy Mansion twice. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's just not. Anytime you fight at a location with such that's like that desired, you're missing out. It's like you're like, you know, I mean, I was the co-main event, I think, on both of those fights. And I felt like, I mean, you had to be out of there by 1 a.m. because of the city laws or city ordinance for sound. So I had to be out of there by like 1 a.m. So it was like, I didn't get to really enjoy it. I didn't fight until like 11:30. Basically got the party for like an hour. So when Khabib said like Islam's not fighting on that card, I believed him. I believe that he doesn't want him to fight on that card. It's a big distraction for someone who's trying to create a legacy that can't be beat again. It can't be broken. Islam's already probably the greatest lightweight that's ever lived. Defended the title the most. He's, you know, and he's got a big percentage of finishes. Now he's going to have, you know, probably 2 fights. From what I understand, he's going to try to beat the 2 undefeated fighters. He was going to try to beat Shavkat. Shavkat's out of the rankings right now. But if he beats Michael Morales, and then he beats Ilia Topuria at 170, I mean, he could just walk off into the sunset and just be done. Completely done. And I wouldn't blame him. You know, he's 33 years old, I believe. He'll be 34, I think, this year coming up. I mean, it'd be a good time for him to wrap up his career. Why fight until the wheels fall off? Why? So you'd be like John Jones, still asking for 10 million, 8 million, 5 million. UFC trying to get you beat so they can build somebody else's legacy for the next 10 years off of your name. That's what they do. That's what's vicious about this sport. It's not just the UFC. The promotion loves you until you're getting close to age. Khabib left at the right time, man. But it's hard for people, all the talk, all the money he could have made coming back. Didn't matter. He will go down in history as one of the greatest to ever do it. And I think people will remember him way longer than they remember Jon Jones. Because he walked away on top. John's walking away on top. The problem is the way he's walking away. It's not the Tom Aspinall fight. He walked away and everyone just was putting out ducks. Oh, he's ducking Tom. He's ducking Tom. He should have just beat Stipe and been like, laid the belt down, the gloves down, and been like, I'm done. This is it. I have no desire to come back. And I think everyone would have been like cool with it. But the fact that he drug it on, or they drug it on for, 6 months, talking about him fighting Tom, and then it not happening, it just opened up the floodgates for John's ducking Tom.
It seems like he was playing games along the way as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm talking to UFC. I don't want to do the fight. The UFC doesn't want to offer me the right amount of money.
And then when they offered him the right amount of money that he asked, $30 million, okay, we'll do it. Oh, shit got real. So look, I'm on John, and I never thought these words would escape my mouth. John, to me right now, is the one telling the truth.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that he was ready to fight and he's down to fight Alex in this White House card. I just think
I think it's just John wanted the White House card, so that's why he wanted to fight.
When you wanted Alex and he wanted the White House card. So he was getting the two things that he left and retired for without having to fight Tom Aspinall. Whereas the UFC is like, no. You fight Tom Aspinall, and then we would have given you the White House card.
But so don't you think it's fair then that the UFC is like, well, now you just want to come back because it's the two things you want, so we're not going to give you the money that you were demanding before when we wanted the fight we wanted? Like, that seems way fair.
No, that's exactly what I said earlier when Ben was here. Yeah. I said that Ben and I were talking about you only get one of the options. You either get Alex and you get the White House card, but you get way less money. Or you get all the money and you don't fight Alex, you got to fight somebody else, and you don't get the White House card. So you get one of them, or you get two without the other one. So which one do you want? Do you want two? Do you want Alex in the White House and less money, or do you want all the money and no Alex and no White House? Because you're not getting all three of them together. And that's exactly what we're at. That's exactly where we're at right now. And John's like, well, you said you're saying I'm retired. You're saying I'm done. Well, then just let me go. Well, the UFC's not letting him go. No way.
Do you think there's anything to the Paramount thing? Because it's Gina Carano, like Paramount was the decision maker and not that fight not happening. Because you remember the Sean Strickland thing where he cut his mic off, and the speculation around was it Paramount execs doing that? Do you think this is like entering the woke era of MMA?
What is it? What do you mean by the Gina situation?
Because she had the whole controversy with Disney.
Oh no, I don't know if you know, but like CBS and them, it's all been taken over now. So it's all done by David Ellison, Larry Ellison, and his, David Ellison is Larry Ellison's son, and like they pretty much own CBS now. They're in the talks of buying CNN. They're a very conservative right wing platform. They will be a conservative right wing platform now. So I don't think it's Gina at all. I really believe that it was the executives from TKO that said we're not willing to pay Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano that amount of money to have them on the UFC platform, which I think Dana should have been like, yeah, we should do it, because right now we're lacking in female stars. If we can build up some younger female stars underneath them on the same card, there might be a chance that we can get at least one or two females that can rise out of this. And Ronda talking about, look, if this fight goes well, this may not be my only fight. I may fight one more time. What better opportunity to have a Ronda did? She said, we'll see how I feel after this, but she's like, I plan on fighting more than once.
Are you sure? Because she said on that press conference that she told Jake it was a one-time thing because it's
a one-fight deal. Are you talking about Gina or are you talking about Ronda?
Ronda said that she was basically doing this for Gina, like for her and Gina to do the fight, but like she wasn't coming back for anybody. Like she was doing a one and done, and then she
was said today.
She
I
would
didn't
come
hear-
back and she said she could come back as Jake's Dana White, is what she said.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Because
Yeah,
I
so
think,
maybe-
yeah, before she was like, "Hey, like, what's your take? What are you thinking about doing?" And I recall she said like, "I'm going to see how I feel, but I feel great, and and I plan on getting myself in shape and take care of myself and see where we go from here." Let's go ahead and answer this one here. Oh, let me see. Let me pull it up here.
You got it?
Joshua Banner 8203. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Dream scenario: Netflix MVP purchase PFL, hire Eddie Hearn as president, and has a quarter of the UFC roster in a year. Possibly could happen. Possibly. I don't know if they would purchase PFL, but I could see them working together with PFL. Jonathan Martin is a very, very smart person. And I think a lot of this has to do with who they can do a TV or network deal with. MVP, or not MVP, but PFL right now is in negotiations with several companies, in terms of a network deal for their TV rights. So if they can lock down a Fox, or if they can lock down I don't know, an Amazon, or if they can lock down somebody, if they can do something maybe with Netflix, if they re-sign with ESPN, I just don't think that them re-signing with ESPN is a good idea. The reason being is because they've been on ESPN for how many years now, and everyone just associates ESPN with the UFC. No one ever goes and looks up PFL, and it won't be any new buzz. It won't be any new big deal. They're like, oh, you're just staying with ESPN. They need to find their way onto some sort of like cable TV or Netflix, a big hosting platform. I don't know if they can get that done. I hope they can, because these fighters need an alternative, as we're finding out right now. We're finding out right now that these fighters, they're too dumb, they're too stupid to speak up for themselves. I'm saying it. Dana White is playing you guys as a fool. And I was one of those guys too a long time ago. You got to fix it. And I don't know how to do it. We can sit here all day and talk about it, and I could bounce some ideas off it. I don't want to just throw shade at you guys. But until a couple of your guys as champions step up and be like, nah, we're not fighting for the first 6 months, until we get some sort of deal done for all the fighters, or just say fighters in the top 15, top 10. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, guys. But whatever you guys can do to make something happen, I think it needs to be done. You got a new organization in Zuffa Boxing that is paying a fighter a 1-fight time deal for $15 million. Guys like John Jones, guys like Sean O'Malley, guys like Islam, guys like Khabib, those guys, they never sniffed $15 million. So where does that leave you guys? There's five fights in to their organization being started, and their fighters are 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of them are already making more than 2 or 3 of your top guys that help build up the promotion, the UFC promotion. I mean, I would be a little angry too. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, it's Trick Yalla Sheik's money." No. It is Trick Yalla Sheik's money. But the deal came off as like, it's good that fighters are making more money. Yeah, but what about the fighters that you guys have built this whole organization around? Conor Benn's not going to help you build this whole organization around it. He's going to have one fight, and he may stay, he may go. But the UFC guys, they're committed. They're all in. Dana says jump, they say how high. Sucks, because these guys are so talented and so good. They deserve so much more. Absolutely, they do. I felt the same way about Randy Couture. I felt the same way about Frank Shamrock. I felt the same way about Chuck Liddell, all those guys. I felt the same way about all of them when they were making their run up. They all deserved way more money. The excuse back then was, well, Spike TV doesn't have a lot of money, or like it's pay-per-view money and the views weren't that great, or then when you got to Fox, the money was good, but it was now you guys can build your own platform, get your own sponsors. Then they took sponsors away. And if you recall how they did it slowly and gradually, but they also screwed our sponsors over. They made it more difficult every step of the way for fighters to make more money. My fight with Benson Henderson was, I made almost $90,000 in sponsors. That was like a third of my fight purse. Then like 2 fights later, they were gone. The Reebok deal got signed. That's a lot of money that I just lost.
And you didn't make it up in your purse?
No. My contract was my contract. So I see like it just, I lost, that's just me. I mean, there was guys that, they had, I don't know, like I'm sure they had bigger sponsors than I did.
There's two sides to this fighter pay thing though. Like people tend to like only focus on the thing that favors their take, right? Where it's like, you got all this money, UFC, why aren't you paying the fighters more? And I think there's like more opportunity now for fighters to pay themselves and long term, right? Like there's so many deals you can do now, business ventures, like the business ventures that are opened up as a result of exposure via the UFC. The exposure is a revenue opportunity in itself. And I think like, if you're thinking, like you guys keep talking about life after fighting, it's one thing to get 150,000 a fight and, be a mediocre fighter for however many fights you have in your 10-year career in the UFC, and then you retire and you're going to live off, however many times you fought for 150,000 for the rest of your life. It's not realistic, but like, you were saying back in your day that before they even had radio waves, right? Yeah, it was all in-person interviews, and like I think that's the difference now. Is like these fighters are able to become influencers now, and generate revenue that way. And I feel like that's, it's not necessarily more money for a fight, but it's more opportunity to make money longer term, depending on how you approach it. If you approach it with like no, I'm a fighter, just give me whoever they put in front of me next, and like that's sign off, see you later. Like I was thinking about this earlier. You think about like I was looking at the rankings. Like you think about Rob Font. Do you think Rob Font's the kind of guy that like wants better fighter pay? I feel like
absolutely he does.
I feel like I'm picking on a guy right now, and I shouldn't be, but I'm just taking an example. But like Rob Font's a guy who I would think the same thing he would, but like he's also a guy that like outside of fighting, like I don't know anything about Rob Font. Like I don't hear about him. I don't hear interviews about him. I don't see him on social media. Now take a guy like Moicano, who's essentially Donald Cerrone at this point, right? Like he's a gatekeeper. He has great fights, gatekeeper, win some, lose some, and that's going to be him until he's done, pretty much at this point, right? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, pretty much.
But like Moicano has a podcast and makes some money. He's involved in these other business ventures, and he's going to be fine after fighting, regardless of whether he's making a few 100,000 because now the UFC likes it. He brings eyeballs, or he's making 100K a fight or whatever. I mean 100K a fight. Like if he's making not great fight money, he's still sorted for life at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's sorted for life. Look, opening a gym or having a podcast, I mean, it brings in money, but you're definitely not living anywhere within the means that you were living when you were fighting, which is on you as a responsibility. Okay. I mean, like I did pretty well for myself, and I lived in the era where we didn't have access to the social media. Like for me, it was still MySpace. MySpace wasn't paying what these platforms are paying now these days. So, building this podcast up, being able to try and, make money off of it, all of these things, I've done 4 shows in the last 48 hours. You know what I mean? And you just got to be consistent with your content. But if you're consistent with your content while you're a fighter, it takes away from your training time. It also keeps you unfocused. Ultimately, like, I was able to spend my money on things that I thought would make me money. So what I did was I bought a bunch of properties, bought a bunch of houses, that entered in the stock market a tiny, tiny bit. I was always afraid of the stock market. That is something that fighters should be looking to do. But I saw somebody posting here, says, what's the plan? Open a gym? Yeah. Is that the plan? That's a fucking horrible plan. I've owned gyms. I still own gyms at this time. Let me just tell you, they don't fucking make any money. I was there nonstop, fucking 8 hours a day, trying to train and run a gym. They don't make shit. You know,
the point is, though, there's opportunity. The point is there's opportunity. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a gym. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast. Like, there's the opportunity is there now more than ever. And fighter pay has increased. Like, you can't argue against that since 10 years ago. Let's just say 10 years ago for the sake of argument. Fighter pay generally has increased. So it's a matter
100%
of, like,
it's increased. I mean, these guys now, I mean, like, literally, these guys that are barely making the top 15 rankings, they're making what I was making when I was leaving the sport. I saw some of these guys making, 180 and 180, 200 and 200. I wasn't making that. You know what I mean? Like, I was also scheduled on a flat fee, so I was getting my full purse no matter what, win or lose, because I came over from a Strikeforce contract. But that being said, like, I remember when Sean Shirk was the champ in the UFC, I was making more money than he was fighting in Strikeforce. I wasn't even the champ. Just the UFC, like, their format, and that was Joe Silva used to talk about how, like, that's why the Strikeforce is going out of business. That's why we're buying them, is because they were overpaying their fighters. Well, you had to overpay because otherwise they would just go to the UFC.
That's the point, though. Is it like that you're and then look at where's Strikeforce now?
Well, I mean, all the UFC champions came from Strikeforce for years.
Where's Strikeforce?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But they weren't owned by Coker. They were owned, a portion of it was owned by Coker. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the UFC, they have a business model. They know how to run it. And I'm no way am I saying, like, I know, because they were talking about, like, profit sharing for the fighters. I think that the fighters only make like 16 to 17%, of whatever the actual profit is, of the end of the year. That's going to have to change, though, at $1.1 billion a year. It should be somewhere in that 20 to 21%. I know everyone wants to talk about the NBA. They get 50%. Yeah, the NBA sucks.
And, like, the UFC's money has gone up, right? Like, you're saying that $1 billion a year, whatever. The UFC's investing in PIs throughout the world, which enables people to eat and train 24/7 in certain places, right? They're investing in like these other aspects of the sport that will benefit the longevity.
Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
You're saying I said 1.1 billion. Come back on the screen so I can look you in the face. I said 1.1 billion. You repeated 1.1 billion. That's not all the money. The TV networks in the UK, the TV networks in the UK, in Canada, the TV networks in other countries, they pay them too. All the merchandise they sell, they get paid that too. All these tickets they sell for arenas, that goes directly to them. It's not just the 1.1 billion. You're looking at another probably 2.5. I would say probably another $1 billion on top of that they make every year on that.
Yeah, but you do need to be mindful and considerate of, like, all the expenses that they have on top of fighter pay, right? Like, fighter pay is not the only thing that has to go out. And just like you guys were saying earlier, there's 700 fighters in the roster, so you got to pay 700 fighters, however many fights per year, and then your staff, and then your equipment.
Well, how many of those fighters of the 700 are actually making more than 12 and 12 and 15 and 15? I would say it's probably very marginal. It's not a big margin.
You're probably right. I mean, it's not until you get in the top 15 that, like, you're really talking proper money, right?
So that's one thing. Now let's talk the other thing. How many fights do they actually do outside the Apex? The Apex, they own the building. And they, so this weekend, where's this weekend's fight? This weekend's fight is
I don't think it's in the Apex. It's,
you don't think it is?
Hold on, I had it here a second ago. Let me see. It is
at the Apex.
Yeah, it is.
So, and they're selling tickets there now. I think it sells up to like 1,200 seats or something.
Right, but like they're not making a gate really. Like
They are. You don't know about the tickets. You don't know about the ticket sales at Apex.
But
They're like $2,500 a ticket to $5,000 a ticket.
is it?
Yep. Because they offer everything's inclusive. Like you get drinks,
okay.
everything it comes with it. They've got couches and all this shit. I don't know if they still have the couches there now. If they have the theater seating, the stadium seating. But I mean, they charge a lot because it's like an in-house experience. You get to be there at the
2,500 times, I don't know, 1,500.
yeah, 1,200. I get it, but
Yeah.
you're still making money. But those guys that are fighting on there are probably all 12 and 12 fighters. So
maybe you're paying like maybe their salaries at like best.
okay. So then what's the expense then?
You have equipment expenses, you have your staff expenses, you get travel expenses.
What's the equipment expense?
Like all the gear that they have?
What gear?
Like any software they're using, any production equipment they're using for streaming.
It stays there. It never moves. They don't have to worry about moving things in, moving things out.
But you probably have like fees for you're like we could get into like semantics of like
all the employees,
this is $50 like that.
All the employees that do work those shows, they all live in Las Vegas. The athletic commission doesn't have to drive far. They're all
pay
out
their
of
salary though.
Who?
You got to pay their salary to come and work.
That's not part of that's part of the UFC's expenses. Yes, but not the UFC at like that night promotion.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like they still have the expense of staff is expense, equipment is expense.
Okay, the other thing too is you know how many interns they hire? I mean, how much do interns make?
Josh, if we're talking like we're getting into kind of weeds on that.
No, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing, but I'm simply saying like you're trying to pitch an argument on why they should be a little bit more selfish with their money. And I'm trying to pitch an argument that they should be open a little bit more after making, because it's not just the 1.1 billion. It's all the other TV deals they have worldwide. There's that. Then there's the merchandise deal. Okay. And then there's the gate deals. And then there's like all the other little things that they bring in, sponsorships.
Okay,
like,
let me ask you a question.
On the canvas, everything else. Go ahead.
How much do you think Dana White makes in a year?
I would imagine he's probably getting a portion of the pie. So I couldn't tell you. Probably somewhere around, I'd say probably close to 20 million.
You think 20 million a year?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Do you think he deserves that? Do you think
if you look at the product right now, I don't think he deserves it.
Okay.
If you looked at the product right when TKO took over, yeah, he did.
How about the fact that like he travels 24/7 for this sport? He essentially funds Power Slap, and right now he's funding / getting investment on Zuffa Boxing, trying to grow the brand, and travels 24/7 with it.
Well, I think that it's
plus the 20-something years he's put in his sport already.
Okay, but he's not traveling just strictly for this sport now. He's stretched himself out so thin that the sport that he built from the ground up is now starting to kind of like people are complaining. And it's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst time to complain because it's the worst time for him to be doing this because look, you've just acquired all this money. This thing could have just skyrocketed beyond, but they honestly, it's starting to feel like we're too big to fail, and that fans will just tune in no matter what.
But look at the deal. The deal he got for fans. Like last year, we were complaining about pay-per-view prices. This year,
because the pay-per-view sucked. Because there was only a handful of pay-per-views that were really worth that much money.
I don't think much has changed though. People are saying the fights suck now, but and the only thing, the biggest letdown obviously is the White House, right? Like they were gassing us up on that all year and saying it's going to be the best thing ever. They obviously didn't get some fights they wanted, which the White House says what it is. It's still a solid card. But like, who really cares when it comes down to it? If I'm paying my $10 a month and I get to watch it on Paramount Plus, and I don't have to pay the pay-per-view price, like I don't know. Fights really haven't differed. Like we're not getting worse quality fights than we were last year. Barry
69. UFC is garbage now. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm not done yet. Papagino 123. Yeah, but now the cards fucking suck. Yeah, look, I can go down this list. UFC sucks now. It's so far from what it used to be. I'm just going. The cards are even worse. This is in a row. We used to have cards with 3 title fights. Yeah, those cards sucked. Do you want me to keep going? Paramount overpaid.
What I'd love is I want to find a member that disagrees with you and have them come on and debate you on it. So if you're a member of the Weighing In YouTube channel, or you will become a member. DM me or DM Weighing In on Instagram, and I'll set up a debate with you and Josh if you disagree with Josh in this argument.
Here we go. This is more of reality. Dude, the cars between 2007 and 2016 were way better. You want to know why? During that era, that's what 2010 is when they bought Strikeforce. You had a flood of all the Strikeforce fighters. It was a huge shot in the arm. The women's division took over because you had Miesha Tate, you had Ronda Rousey, you had all these female fighters that jumped in there and they delivered. And then on top of that, you had all the fighters that were so good during that time that jumped into the heavyweight division. Think about this. Alistair Overeem, Josh Barnett, Daniel Cormier, they all came from, and Fabricio Verdum came back from the heavyweight, from Strikeforce back into the UFC heavyweight division. Then you had all the other guys that came over too. So you had a lot of really good fighters that it came over from Strikeforce. It was a great, that was a great time to be. I call that the golden era of the sport. Even when Strikeforce was by itself, it was the golden era because there was a little bit of competition between the two. You know, but when they finally merged, it was like, man, we have the best. We had the best platform for everyone. Let's go ahead and hit this question real quick on the super chat. So Korean Murderer 88, thanks for the $20 super chat. I appreciate you, buddy. I think the Piper and Israel and Brady and Buckley should have been on the White House card. We all know Corey should be fighting Sean or Umar. So that was my take, was if we would have gotten Corey Sandhagen versus Sugar Sean O'Malley, and then we had the Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, and we had Alex versus Gane, I don't think that many people would be complaining. But the fact that we have Sean O'Malley versus Zahabi, and no disrespect to Zahabi, I've said this multiple times in the last 24 hours, he's a good fighter, a really good fighter, and I think there's a good chance he could beat Sean O'Malley. But everybody wanted to see the Corey Sandhagen fight against Sean O'Malley. Had you put that fight together, you had the top 3 fights, 3 of the best fights, and then you go all the way down to the very beginning. Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Holy shit. That fight is guaranteed fireworks. Steve Garcia's got the longest win streak in that weight class. I think it's like 7 or 8 in a row. He beats Diego Lopez. He's right there in the title hunt. And he is a banger. It's going to be a fun fight. You know, it's the Bo Nickel. I get it. Bo's friends with Trump. Bo played golf with Trump. Like that, you know, I understand that portion of it. I'm not mad at that. It is what it is. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Let's keep that in mind. So, yeah, I mean, thanks for the $20 super chat, though. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's fights to be had. We're not getting the fights that we want. That's ultimately what the problem is. And the UFC and the fights and the fight cards have been kind of trash lately. That's not a slap in the face of the fighters. The fighters, they've been producing good fights. But yeah. All right, look, just real quick, I'm going to go over the Josh Emmett fight and Kevin Vallejos fight, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate it. Josh Emmett, look, 39 years old, 38 years old. At that age, the longer this fight goes, the less it favors him. Kevin Vallejos, I think, is 27 years old, somewhere in that mix. Got a lot of years ahead of him, 17-1. His only loss is to Jean Silva in the Dana White Contender Series. Great fight. He's got to be very careful of the power in the first 2 rounds of the fight. He's also got to make Josh Emmett wrestle a little bit. He's got to make Josh work off the fence. He's got to make Josh's arms get heavy. And the only way you do that is by clinching with him, hanging on him, and working with him against the fence. Getting into that clinch. At that age, when I got to that age, the grappling and the wrestling took so much out of you. Even though your cardio was good, just the pop wasn't there anymore on the feet. Like if my snap and my punches wasn't there, the kicks weren't as powerful. It just took longer to recover coming out of a clinch or any type of wrestling. So if I'm Kevin Vallejos, I'm punching my way right into some sort of clinch work, right into pressing him to the fence and trying to control him from that position. Just try to wear him down. Try to get him thinking about the takedown and then open up with the big shots. Timothy Austin, Glow 2, it says, "You're an animal, Josh. Thanks for all the content." Yeah, I've been trying to lay it out for you guys. This last couple days, it's been a lot to talk about. It's been nice to have actually some real content to talk about. Real content. So overall, the White House card to me is a good fight. It's a good fight card. Wish they would have put Corey Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley. You probably wouldn't hear a peep out of me then. for the fight card itself. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say before we bounce, just make sure you let them know about the CPI podcast that's dropping on Thursday morning at 10 a.m.
Okay, did you hear that, guys? So I did an interview with Scotty from On the Mat, and basically On the Mat, but he's from CPI. He's one of the owners of CPI Stem Cells in Mexico. I did an interview with him in Tijuana, and given the breakdown of how it all started, all the benefits of it, what they're doing in the new technology, and how working towards helping cancer patients. That's one of the biggest things that they're working on right now, which is great. So if you have somebody who is battling cancer, early stages, late stages, whatever it is, also too, my biggest conversation with him, given my background, given a lot of these fighters and football players' backgrounds, was how to use stem cells to repair the brain. And he's now going to be working apparently with a new doctor. They're working on signing a contract. And once that all goes through, we'll have more details on that. But ultimately, it's about trying to help treat CTE or trying to help treat brain damage, which is exactly what happens to a lot of us fighters. So I wanted to say that I'm looking forward to the benefits that stem cells can bring to not just me, but other fighters that are willing to do this. Now, I know that doing the stem cells to the brain, you have to go interfecal, which means you have to go right into the spinal cord. There's a new doctor doing new ways. There's a couple new doctors, but one of them is kind of leading the way on them learning new ways to go ahead and deliver the stem cells directly to the brain. So there's a lot of new content that'll be coming out, but I did the whole interview with Scotty. Check that out. It'll be dropping on Thursday. What, 10 a.m.?
Yeah, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Central Time?
That's right.
10 a.m. Central Time. All right, so 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and that would be what? 11 to 10, that's 9, 10, that's 8 a.m. West Coast time. How to do the math. Hey, guys, I want to thank you guys so much, man, and the live streams are fire. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it, and I'm going to keep doing them. So I got a lot of stuff going on right now, but I'm going to definitely keep doing the live streams. If you guys like the live streams during the day, please let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Also, hit that bell for notifications so you guys know when I'm doing live streams during the day. If I decide to do one and drop one during the day, also hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Biggest thing is subscribe. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. And until next time, man, we'll see you. We're out.